All right, welcome End Hype Live. I have a very special guest tonight. Really excited for this. So we have Kate Hancock, the Pivot Queen. So Clubhouse royalty, right?
It's embarrassing.
Yeah. But no, um, we're gonna get into a couple of things because you have a lot of interesting stories about pivoting, right? Right? In the last year and being influential on and off of Clubhouse. And I'm just super excited to have you here. So before we hop into it, I want everybody that's listening to share this out, right? I don't promote a bunch of products and get paid. I want to get Kate some attention here. So share this out if you're watching it on the repeat. Bring in a friend, right? Bring in a friend to the End Hype movement and let's go. Okay. So, Kate, again, thank you so much for coming, but tell us a little bit about you.
Yes.
What's the story of Kate?
Yeah, so I'm so honored to be here, Kelly. I grew up in a small island in the Philippines, way south of Manila, and I started working at a very early age. I kind of term myself as slave labor. It's a family business, so I hated it. I pretty much didn't have any childhood. I couldn't, I don't have that much freedom to play and be a kid. We really have to chip in for that family business. Well, my grandmother started this secret recipe, and it started with just a small store, and now they have a national distribution in the whole country. But I don't want to be part of that. I joke about it on Clubhouse as well. I don't want my hair to smell like butter, and I am stubborn. I don't want to be someone else employee, right?
Yeah.
So I moved out in the United States. I was working 3 or 4 different jobs. I remember I would change uniform in the parking lot. One day, I actually asked my boss. I moved up pretty fast. I was a sales rep and become running the whole. I think I was number 3 in the company. It's a small business. And I asked my boss, "Hey, can you give me a raise?" And he said no. So like, okay, I need to figure this out, right? So it was a boring day. I was running the whole Costco roadshow. We sell skincare there.
Mhm.
So I know the in and out of Costco. And so I started scanning stuff online. And I remember one manager told me that any items that ends with 0 or 7, that is a clearance items at Costco. So I started scanning stuff through Amazon. So that day, I think I sold 3 items. So I bought a box and a tape from Staples, $20, and I scale it to a million after a year and 15 million after 4 years.
That's such a crazy story because, you know, it's like, this is why I think you're a great embodiment of, we say, brilliant misfits, right? Is because you kept telling that story, is like you're looking for these opportunities to shine, and you don't quite fit into what you're doing, and you have to do it yourself, right? You have to find your own way of doing stuff. And that's such a cool story, because the first time I heard it, I thought you would say like, hey, I learned how to pitch and I learned how to talk to people because of these road shows, and like you not to tip tip my hand too much, but you do great business in the beauty space, and that probably did contribute to it. But the first time I heard it, I was like, that's the best hacker entrepreneur story, because you're just there and you're like, I think I could sell the stuff that's around me. Yeah,
Yeah, that
so
was
good.
kind of crazy. At one point, I was calling every Costco in LA, like, "Hey, do you have this item number XYZ?" And it was like, "Yes, we have it." So I literally would like rent a truck and buy pallets after pallets, and it was like, "What the heck, this crazy lady?" But that was such an amazing ride. It teaches me a lot of lesson, but a huge learning is like you can't really rely in one traffic source. Yeah, I was selling 15 million worth of product, but that's not actually my business. That's Bezos' business. So
Oh yeah.
that like they say, don't build a house on a rented land. So going
Mm.
forward after that mistakes, I actually lost that business in 2018, Kali, a day before my wedding, Dan and I's wedding in the Philippines.
Oh my god.
Yes. So that account got shut down. They hold like $500,000 worth of inventory in a
Mhm.
fulfillment center. And I was even like, oh my God, should I continue this wedding? I have people building stuff there. I have 15 of my friends literally flew in last minute. But I did that. But it was very difficult time. I was kind of sad and depressed for 90 days. I mean, imagine that whole business just collapsed. Like,
Wow.
and you have no choice. You can't just open that app. It's like someone shut down your Facebook ads account. I mean, there's no way. It is the same thing. So, and I think that that really teaches me a huge lesson. So I only invest in companies that I own the real estate. So I build my own resort
Yeah.
and in Asia, and I have my facial center here in California. Well, both of that is shut down. So I have two businesses that's having zero revenue the last what almost a year now.
It's so wild.
It's crazy. It is crazy. But Dan and I mean, I was able to find another ways of making money. Of course, you figure that out being an entrepreneur, right? So the funny story is I actually bought an RV because we really wanted to drive across the US. Well, when the guy delivered to one of my property in Joshua Tree, we figured we can't make left turn. So that RV has to park. It's so huge. So I park it there, I built deck, and that ended up being a unique space business. So now we bought a military Jeep, converted a bus, and that's becoming a really good business in this horrible time.
That's great. And that is that like it's like an Airbnb or
Yes, it's Airbnb.
oh,
Yeah. So
that's so
now
cool.
I'm gonna be doing instead of buying the bus or it costs you a lot, especially RV are so hot right now. It's so expensive to buy. So I'm just gonna do an Airbnb arbitrage where if you have an RV park in my property, we're gonna do the split profit. So I don't have to
Oh, that's smart.
yeah,
That's
I
even
don't have yes, it's even better.
that's even better. No,
Hmm.
no, I just got a ton out of this. So I hope that everybody that's listening to it can pause it and rewind a little bit because I just want to talk about this Amazon thing really quickly because we both know some really smart people and they've built big businesses on Amazon. And I've had not an experience that's that large, but I also had my PayPal shut off and they didn't pay me for 180 days ish, right? Because they just can if they want. And I kind of learned a similar lesson, but not that extreme. Is like, um, yeah, you have to own the real estate of your business, even if it's a digital business. Like you need to own your domain. You need to own your own email list, right? I had I had Mailchimp delete one of my email lists. It's 30,000 plus emails, and
Crazy.
yeah, it's crazy because even on that, I own the emails, but I don't own the data, right? And that list is, that's it's worth $100,000 and you just go in there into your account and they say, oh yeah, we messed up and we changed your account settings and sorry, we don't have that anymore. So
Oh
you're
my
like, what are you going to do? Right. And these are the lessons that we learn as, as entrepreneurs, but man, that Amazon thing, cause I do products, right.
God.
And people are always like, should I do Shopify or should I do Amazon? I'm like, you should do something where you build loyal customers and you have their contact information because both of those are sites that could just decide they don't like you.
Yeah, it is a good entry level. I'm not saying don't do it, but
Oh
just
yeah, yeah.
start away and then move on to like where you own the email list. So were you able to recover your email list at all or zero?
No,
Oh my God.
no, it's okay. I have a couple larger email lists, and it was for a company that I sold that company. So I'm like not heartbroken over it, but it is like frustrating when you're paying the bill to have that many emails in Mailchimp. And I was like, I'm going to move this to a more mature mail platform. And it's like gone. Yeah, it's just gone. So
Oh my God. I'm so
yeah.
sorry to hear that. Well, we live and learn, right?
We live and learn. That's right. Yeah. So but I just wanted to make sure that everybody they heard you, like they heard the point that you just made because it's so smart. And you likened it to actual real estate, but it's like own your own digital real estate. If that's your thing, make sure make sure you own it. But I like how you linked it to what you're doing right now. We like actually own the space that you're on. You know?
Yeah, yeah. I don't get involved in anything. I don't own the real estate. So that is so much better.
Yeah. That's phenomenal. So we met, and I'm gonna bring this up, and I'm sure that you've talked to like a million people about this, so you'll just have to bear with me. And not everybody is on Clubhouse yet, but we met on Clubhouse, and you did something really unique on that. So I'd like to touch on that and kind of your experience with it in general.
Yes, that's crazy. What when was that? I think December 12th, when
Yeah,
Dad and I were able to join Clubhouse, and I remember it was all rappers room. So I was so feeling out of place and like
I
there's
remember
no
that.
rooms. Do you remember that? Like it's all rappers room?
So my friend who he's a mentee from an incubator I ran a few years ago, and he has a hip hop collaboration platform. And so he invited me, and I was like, Mike, is this like just for like rappers and venture capitalists? This is a weird mix of people, because like I recognize, of course I recognize more of the venture capital people, but I was like, why is there Mace on here talking to like somebody from that's like in banking? And he's like, dude, just wait. This is the place to be. I'm like, it's a lot of cool people, I guess. And then, a couple weeks later,
Yeah, it was really crazy. So I was a little bit testing it for a week, and I don't really have a room where I feel like I belong. Thank God I have one of my guy friends back, and he's there. So I kind of like just kind of observe a little bit what's going on. So that's when, like, you know what, I'm gonna start a business category room. And that's when what it takes to run $1 million business created. And that was I Callie, I remember it was just Dan and I are talking, and then we would close it because only four of us would be talking for 30 minutes. So I was very persistent with it. And I think it was Christmas morning. I said, Dan, we have nothing else to do. What should we do? Clubhousing. And we weren't expecting it. It was a business room of the day, and realize, everyone that, I mean, Christmas Day, you think everyone would be a family, right? We're all shut down, and that's why it took off. And we made it to the 20 days ever 24 hours room.
so wild. Yeah, yeah. So longest running room ever. And if somebody comes for the title, you can count me in to mod and take the title back. But yeah, it was super wild, because there's hundreds of people in the room, and it seems like I see some of those people, but now it's like blown up, right? There's all kinds of business rooms now, and people that were early mods in your room, they have their own rooms, and they have their own clubs, and it's like now there's, I don't know, there's like
A lot.
there's a
Yes.
lot. It's like
Yeah.
nuts now. So
Yeah, but it's so cool because when I was doing that, of course, launching a room like that, especially running for 20 days, you have to lead people. There's like moderators behind the scene that we were running every second, like what's going on? It's getting boring. Let's do this, change, like
yeah,
you literally like running a South by Southwest. Literally, my hands were all numb because I'm typing every single second, like, hey, this is what we need to do, and who's this? Like I didn't even have a chance to tell my story because I was running behind the scene of like make sure the moderator's on point, the discussion. I mean, you have to run that huge of a room that requires a lot of manpower. So I was leading behind the scene, and I was actually mostly quiet 90% of the time because I was running the whole room. Yeah, so I feel like I didn't really get a chance. I was more quiet, but I was so humbled by that experience. I think starting something new, and I'm always curious. Of course, the algorithm really excites me. That's what happened to me in Amazon for me to figure out from $20 to $15 million. I get obsessed with something, I can't sleep, right?
yeah,
It just gets addicting. But I'm so humbled by that experience, being able to be the first and shape the future of Clubhouse, at least in the business category. I mean, that's something I'm really humbled by that experience. I was able to meet you, and a lot of things happen. I mean, now the experience to a lot of people are even better than we were in there in the beginning. So I think that is I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think about it, I'm like, okay, that was only it was a month and a half ago, maybe collectively like 2 months ago, but I've met dozens of people and some of them I'm actually doing business with right now. So it's like really kind of interesting, but certainly a lot of people have come on the podcast as a result of it. And I've had a lot of conversations like, hey, you work on product launches. Well, I work on products. So this really makes sense. Or like, hey, I have a program like this, you have a program like this, and like, hey, what's your experience with so I've met people that are like symbiotic that we can work together, and I've met people that do the same thing and we come from different experiences. So it's been really educational, but me there's a lot of like crazy puffery on it, and part of me really I thinks that that's fun and funny, but also like I see names of people, I'm like, I know who that person is, and then you see names of people you've never heard of, and then you go look them up online, you're like, I don't know why I didn't know who this person was in the first place. This is amazing. Uh, so yeah, uh, I really credit the room to that because it connected me with a lot of those people so much faster than me starting my own room and talking to myself, you know?
Yeah, like I think I love how people were so smart and leveraging other people's room. I think that's the smartest way to do it rather than you running behind the scene. It's so much work, but like I'm so happy to hear that because it is a lot of work. And I mean, I met a lot of amazing soul. I met you and I met a lot of people. Not necessarily mean I was, it's just so cool. I mean, like I love that frictionless way of meeting people. Like I think we're so open and like you'll never find that in other social media. It's like we are in a
Yeah,
hallway in a mastermind and everyone was so embracing. I think it could be because we've been shut down for a while. I mean, we're missing that tone of voice,
the
a sense of
connection.
community and connection. Yes, I think that really works, and especially that was during the holiday too, where everyone's off. So
Yeah,
that's the most.
the
I think
ti
timing has to do with
timing.
it as well. The timing has to do with that.
No, I love that. And it's like for me, there's so much about voice communication that it conveys where you don't really get that on an Instagram post. And if you there's people that are amazing on YouTube, but that's so curated and it's edited. And when you see somebody ask a question just on the fly, like you can ask any question that you want to Ty Lopez and he has to answer it, right? You get the flavor of this is what this guy actually knows and this is what he's going to respond with. And maybe you hate that. Maybe you love it, right?
Mhm.
Maybe like because of the way he speaks, because of the way that he mentions things, maybe that's for you and you could become a fan of him, or you will instantly say, I don't like him. And uh, that's what I found was really interesting is people they have to respond and they don't get a time really to think about what they say. They just have to like pull it out, and it's really easy to tell like who's kind of a jerk as well.
Yeah, I know you can really tell who's really has done it, knows what they're doing, and knows what they're talking about. Because you
Yeah,
can't really fake things. And I love how even when they're making this program for influencers for Clubhouse, it was above 40 years old. So that tells you, it's exciting. I tell people like if you have so much value and so smart, this is a place for you to shine because you can talk as much as you can, share as many information as you can, that's where you shine. So that's what I love about it.
that's awesome. That's awesome. What's like one of the just breakthrough pieces of information that you learned, like just talking to people over the last month? Or what's something that really it's like a standout piece of information? I'm trying to get people on there because they're hearing that there's a lot of just junk on there and like people kind of saying how cool they are. And I'm like, no, there's people giving away really great pieces of information. So what's like a takeaway?
I think oh my god, while running that room, I think I have $1 million worth of mastermind with
Yeah, yeah,
me listening,
for
right?
sure.
Don't you agree?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
I think what I love about Clubhouse is you're really responsible for your own experience. So whoever you follow, that's where what you'll see in the hallway. So you have to be very careful with who you follow, and you make sure you're in the right room where I will welcome you to our club, but it takes $300 million, because I know we're inclusive, and I think we're humbled. We don't just be tight with a moderator badge. I mean, we try to give it to everyone who's capable of sharing valuable information. But I think I heard it the other night, Kali. There was a conversation going on about, we are so worried about the kind of earth we are like leaving, right? Like,
Mhm.
and then one person actually asked, like, you're worried about what we're doing in this earth, but have you thought about what kind of children we are living in this earth? Isn't it deep or what?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it gives you like a pause, but like you have moments like that, like, holy crap, that conversation got deep. Yeah, so I sometimes I do like to have a topic between skill sets versus mindset. So there's like a chicken and egg thing, and it goes deep. So I love this kind of conversation as well.
Yeah, I love that. We do a room on sales twice a day, and like immediately the conversation always goes into some deep thing about human needs, or your mindset and your fears, or like supporting your family, or like contributing to a community. I'm like, man, we went from sales tactics, like here's a way to send, video follow-ups, to this is like how you serve your community and provide value, and it immediately goes there. And maybe it's something about who we have in the room, or who the nature of the platform, but I think it's like the nature of business now, right? Is I think people are more mindful, maybe more mindful, particularly on the platform. It's interesting. It's interesting to go like yeah, in the million
Yeah.
dollar room, it's like, hey, let's talk about this money tactics. It's like money tactics. And then people are like, I think that this piece of mindset is what's really holding you back from making money. And then it's like instantly we'll go in philosophy, and then somebody will hit you with like a great digital marketing strategy. And you're like, where am I?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, yeah. It's very interesting. And I think, you know, I love how I don't see any arguments so far. I love how people are civil, at least in the room where I'm at. Like everyone's so civil, whatever, even though you
In your
disagree
room.
in
Yeah.
my room. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So
Yes.
everyone's so civil. So you really have to make sure you're very clear with your rules. And I think we built a really good culture in that room, even up to now, that we all have to be respectful. And I have to sometimes remind people, like, hey, don't say you're wrong, right? Like, just say, here are my thoughts, or, this is my experience share. That's so much better than
Sure.
super, super direct. Because sometimes, yeah, but so far I've never seen it. I've never heard any arguments so far, which is knock on woods.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you mentioned that you're doing some Airbnb stuff, and your your hotel's closed, which is unfortunate. See, I'm trying to travel. I got married this summer. We were supposed to go to Bali, and I really want to go to I really want to go to a couple of places, including Philippines. And it's like can't travel anywhere. But that aside, that frustration aside, um, like what are you up to right now? Because I know that there's some things in the beauty industry that you're doing, and I have some clients that are in the beauty industry, and it's I think well, I want to hear it because going back to Clubhouse, like everybody I talk to, they're like they want to get into the beauty industry, they want to sell hair, or it's like every dude wants to sell a t-shirt company, and every lady wants to start a makeup company. And I'm like, I know some people that do well in that. So I think when people listen to this is it'll be interesting advice, right? Or it'd
Okay.
be an interesting experience.
Yeah, I think I know everyone. It's so. I mean, you see it like the Kardashian made like 1 billion of selling makeup, right? Like
Yeah.
that's just the reality. But the reality is, beauty is such a crowded space. You need to have a lot of funding for marketing. I'm not saying you can't do it, but the beauty industry is dominated by two big giants, the Estee Lauder company and L'Oreal. So do you really have the backing to fight those two big giants? But I would highly recommend is build a community first, build a following, and then sell. I think
Wow.
there's still that market that there, like, it has to be curated. It has to be you talking every day, being consistent about it. Build your brand, because I have a good friend that she actually made it by her YouTube community, but then she started in 1997. You know what I mean? Like, whoever was in there at the beginning built a community, and she's very consistent, eight-figure business straight from her website. She's so smart, like,
Wow.
straight from her website. So her margin is very high. And a lot of people have this for some reason in their head that once they made it to Sephora or Macy's that they're going to make money. In reality, you're not really making money. That's just a marketing, thing for you. And what's great is, yeah, you might made it to Macy's, right? What's going to happen is they will ask you to fill every single store in the whole
Oh yeah.
US. And if that doesn't sell, they'll return it to you. And guess what? You're going to be in dead trouble. So you have to be take
Yes.
considerations into that one. So I mean, it sounds good that you're in Sephora, but if that doesn't move, they'll return it to you.
Yeah, and you can't sell from their inventory as well. So if something hits and you go viral inside of your community, all of your money is wrapped up in inventory that you don't have access to, right? So
Yeah,
theoretical liabilities that you don't have access to because they haven't purchased it, really. They can return it at any time. They fake bought it. And so scary. But that being said, a lot of a lot of brands are successful that way. It's just people aren't really doing the math and thinking like how much padding or protection that you need to have a actual presence at Sephora. But something that what you said about community is interesting. Because again, it's kind of like the t-shirt part too. A lot of people want to build a product and then they want to find customers and push it on a group of customers. And it's like kind of like designing a cool logo and making t-shirts. And then you're like, now people should wear my logo. It's like, no, they want you to build a movement and a brand, and then they want to be associated with it. And one way to be associated with it is that you happen to have t-shirts, right? And it sounds like more work, but it's so much less work to do it that way. Yeah.
yeah. I think, yeah, if anyone wanted to get into the beauty industry, build your brand first, build a community, and sell. Not the other way around. The problem is everyone's buying stuff in China, and it will just sit in your warehouse.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yep. And that's where I see a lot of people mess up is that because I, as a result, again, not to pick on Clubhouse, but as a result of this, I've had all these conversations with people that are doing drop shipping, and like they want to move from drop shipping, so they end up doing like white labeling and having everything sit in a warehouse, and then they're like, how do I move all this product? Or like, they're like, I've been doing 7 figures in drop shipping. I'm like, that's awesome. And then we talk and I see like they've spent a ton of money on ads. And so like their profit margin isn't that big. And might not, because they're running through Amazon, they don't have email addresses either. So like they don't have anything to resell to. But I don't know. Brand seems like more work up front, but long term, probably a lot less work. Certainly a lot
Yeah.
less ads, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wish we all can figure it out, or we all be gazillionaire, all of us, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. So, yeah, this is, well, very interesting, and I'm so honored for you to invite me here.
Yeah. No, I appreciate your time. And where's the best place for people to follow what you're up to,
Yeah,
other
they
than
can.
Clubhouse?
Yeah, aside from Clubhouse, they can go to katehancock.com. I do have my own podcast as well, titled Inspired by Her. So if you can check it out, if you're into female entrepreneurship, would appreciate it. So yeah, I do. I actually look for companies, Kali. I look for companies with $1 million of revenue with 400K profit with at least minimum 10 employees. So I do look for companies like that to acquire.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So for everybody that's listening, that you're in a particular space or
I'm very open.
okay, that's fantastic. Given your sales and marketing experience, like that's probably a pretty good place to
Yeah. Yeah, and
sign
I'll be
somebody up.
happy to help you if you want to get married in the Philippines. I would love to hook
Oh,
for you. But let's see. Yeah, let me know. I can do magic.
that's fantastic. Kate, before we cut out, I ask the audience one question. So just bear with me here. Is that for everyone that's listening? If you have one question that, if answered, will take you to the next level, DM me, and I'll bring on a rock star like Kate to talk about this and to answer your questions, and we'll build some content around it so we can grow together. So that's my call to action. And of course, my call to action is go find Kate Hancock, listen to her podcast, go to her website, see what she's up to. And I appreciate everybody. Thanks for listening. My name's Callie Keen. This has been End Hype.
Thank you so much.